The Galaxy S23 Ultra features a special version of the latest Snapdragon Agent 2 chip that's tuned with a 150Hz higher clock speed specifically for Samsung Galaxy devices. To be honest, I can't say that I've pushed the phone to its limits. I play games, use apps, make calls, use Bluetooth, take 200 megapixel photos and shoot some 8K videos. Even with all of that, the S23 Ultra just shrugs it all off. Clearly, the Snapdragon Agent 2 for Galaxy was the right call by Samsung. The mobile platform brings meaningful improvements to the Galaxy phone experience, while Samsung's done its part to optimize the S23 Ultra with a larger vapor cooling chamber and more efficient backend processing. Plus, we get new LPDDR5X RAM and UFS 4.0 storage. Together, you get a phone that's powerful enough for any type of user, including mobile gamers. Now, how to measure the performance of a smartphone? Benchmarks. I don't put my stock in benchmark scores these days. These are just numbers which are easy to manipulate. I wouldn't call myself an avid gamer on the phone either, I still prefer PC. Nonetheless, I made myself play Genshin Impact, which is widely considered as one of the most demanding games. Here is what happened. After 12 minutes of playing, the temperature reached a 42 degrees, which is quite comfortable. The frame rate remained stable at 60. After 20 minutes and a battle in some temple, FPS dropped to 55 and even 50 in some spots. After 30 minutes, sometimes it began to drop below 50 FPS, but quite rarely. After I entered the Wolf Temple, the frame rate stabilized at 60 FPS. It got up to 43 degrees, but then the temperature dropped back down to 42 and it remained at same level. After leaving the temple, it's 40 minutes now, the average FPS was 55, sometimes more, sometimes less, but fairly constant overall. After nearly an hour of gameplay, my heroes died. In the end, I'll say that the gameplay is much smoother than on the S22 Ultra. There are practically no lags or micro stuttering that last year's model had. And of course the FPS is stable around 55, sometimes dropping below 50 in graphically intensive scenes, and I never got above 43 degrees. Next, I played Real Racing 3 to test 120 FPS and it worked perfectly. During the races it was always 120 FPS and the temperature gradually dropped to 38 degrees after Genshin Impact. Simply put, this shows a certain performance reserve. Finally, I ended my testing with a half-hour session of Shadow Fight and Call of Duty. Things are very much the same here. FPS is consistently high, the gameplay is smooth and enjoyable. The temperature dropped to 37 degrees. What can we conclude? The S23 Ultra's performance is exceptional. It is close to its limit on the most graphically demanding titles like Genshin Impact, but when we play something less demand or set the graphics settings to medium, then the phone has a reserve and cools down nicely. Interestingly, the smartphone has the post USB power delivery feature for games. When enabled, it stops charging the battery and bypasses the power directly to the processor. This reduces heat generated by the battery charging process, which makes the whole phone cooler, thereby improving the phone's performance while gaming. Some laptops have a similar feature. As it turned out, it's been available in some older flagships for some time, and it is odd that the company didn't say a word about it. For some, it can be a lifesaver. To enable battery bypass feature on Galaxy devices, do the following. Connect your device to a charger. The adapter and the cable should support USB PD and be of output more than 25 watts. Open any game on your phone. Now, minimize the game and access game booster settings by swiping up from the bottom of the screen while the game is running and hitting the game booster icon. Only after that, you will see the pause USB power delivery feature. Turn it on and your phone should stop charging while the game is active. Once you exit or minimize the game, charging will resume normally. Definitely a feature worth having. I tried it out and when it was enabled, the smartphone didn't get warm. And of course, you need to compare the S23 Ultra with its predecessors and not with smartphones that are designed for games at the expense of battery life or something else. I think there is one thing we can be sure of. The Galaxy S23 Ultra is about 30 to 50% faster and more stable than the S22 Ultra. The frame rate in games is a clear indication of this. And this is the main thing you need to understand about the S23 Ultra's performance. The entire system is incredibly smooth and fast. Also allow me to geek out about Samsung smoothing out One UI's animations. Yes, animations are much more realistic and faster, like it has more FPS or something. This is especially noticeable with rotating animation. Just look at that, without delay and very beautiful. Even the buggy Twitter app feels smooth and responsive now on One UI 5.1.